All right, so we're continuing section 2.2 in Pre-Calculus 30 here, and I wanted to talk to you about a couple things. We're going to explore some more graphs, but I also wanted to mention this because yesterday, I don't know if you recall, we had talked about different functions and the shapes of different functions, and we actually looked at one. See, I can't really see a video of it right now, but if we, yeah, okay, I guess right here, right? We talk about a parabola and the square root function of the parabola, and we talked about how we kind of sketch that. If you recall, we did one, and I don't see it here, but it was x minus 2 and then square root of x minus 2 squared. And if you recall, the graph sort of looked like this. Do you remember that? Remember that? Now, this square root function here looks like an absolute value of some line, right? And that's exactly what it is because, so okay, I think, yeah. So here's the purple, that's the square root, and here is the yellow, that's the line. Now, if I did this, okay, now watch carefully. If I take this off so that it is not plus 4, that brings the parabola down, the vertex down 4 units. That makes sense, right? So if I go inside to this one here, and I take that away as well, now this purpley blue graph is an actual inverse of the parabola. So notice how it totally changed shape. So that sort of absolute value linear function, that happens when this vertex is actually on the x-axis. Then it looks like that. So again, if we go back to this one and I add 4, so plus 4, that's what it looks like, right? Now for this one down here, I'm going to add, and I'm going to try and get, let's say k. Now give me a slider. Thank you very much. Okay, so with k equals, oh, let me see if this is going to work. Oh, wait, that's not going to work. Oh, it's got to be on the square root sign. Thank you very much. So let's take that. Yeah, I erased it from there. Okay, so let's copy that. And let's actually see if it, there we go. Awesome. Now we'll see if that'll work. So if I take this slider and I move it, okay, and I go over to where k is, oh, 4 exactly. Look at that. That's what I get. See that? So if I play that, okay, notice, so this is the inverse of the parabola that has a vertex way down low, then coming up. It's pretty fast, okay? But as you can kind of see, the graph changes, okay? Boom, right there. Now notice what happens when the graph, let's say this original parabola, and let's change that to, oh, I don't know, what was that number? 0.5, let's just say that. Oh no, sorry, let's do 4.5. So plus 4.5. Okay, that's going to get it pretty close to this one. That's not the same, is it? But let's say this is 4.5. Okay. So does everyone see how the orange graph is the original graph and the blue graph is the square root of that? Let's see if this makes sense, okay? Are there any points on the orange graph here, are there any points where the y value is 0? So does it ever touch the x-axis? No, it doesn't. Are there any points where y equals 1? Yes, and look at this. Those are invariant points there, right? We zoom in, those are the same points on the square root graph. So to make sense of the rest of this graph, if you have a parabola that does not touch the x-axis, okay, you're going to have to piece this together. Now 0.5 is this spot right here, right? That's a y value of 0.5. And what's the square root of 0.5? But about 0.707, right? So it's above, and that makes sense, right? We have a decimal number between 0 and 1. The square root is above. Once we get, once the original values go above 1, then the square roots are less. And so this, oops, I'll just zoom out here. This is sort of what the graph looks like. Okay. Now another one I wanted to show you. Just take those away. Okay, let's see. I want to do y. I don't think I have to type in y equals here, but I want to do the square roots of, let's say, 4 minus x squared. There we go. Okay. So this right there is the upper half of a circle. Right? This is the positive square root 4 minus x squared. Okay, so this is a circle with a radius of 2, and this is what we have up here. So if I wanted to take the square root of this, wow, it's already a square root function, isn't it? So how could I write the square root of this, first of all? How could I write this? Y equals. What would I type in here to try and type in the square root of that function? Probably different ways you could do it. What are your thoughts? If you were to type this in, if you had to sketch the square root function here, could we just do square root twice? Like square root of 4 minus x squared? Would that work? I don't know, let's try it. Square root of, put the brackets in there, square root of, brackets, 4 minus x squared, bracket, bracket. Now, does this look like, does the green graph look like the square root of the blue graph? Does it look like it? Yes, no? I'm seeing some heads shaking. Okay, let's just test it. For the green or the blue graph, y equals 1 is y equals 1 for the other one. Okay. For this region here, where the y values are between 0 and 1, for the blue graph, it looks like the square roots are above. They're greater than. So that's checking out so far. What about 0? Okay. If x equals -2, we have square root of 0, which is 0, so those points are the same. So right now we're 3 for 3 in just double checking what we know about what these graphs look like. So here's the clincher here. Let's just test this. So this is 0, 2. What's the square root of 2? About 1.4. Okay, so we're about 4 for 4 there. All right? So it appears that this is the square root of the blue graph. Okay? That's what this square root sort of looks like. Okay? Now, what's another way we could write this? And I'm just going to try this down here. How do I write this without writing square root signs? Any ideas? Without actually writing the square root signs in there, how else could I write this? What's another way to write this? You guys should have a good guess on how to do this. Grade like 9 stuff. Divide by itself. Divide by itself. I'm not sure what you mean. 1 over, you mean? No, that's inverse now. I want square root. So how could I rewrite this one in green? How could I rewrite that? Any ideas? Take the minus out of the bracket and put it where? In front of the bracket. Okay, well, I want to write this without any square roots at all. With no square root signs. Cube root? The power, okay, we're getting close. Power would be what? -2? -4? Not quite. What do you think?
The power is 1 over.
Okay, the power is 1 over 2 for a what? For a square root. Okay. We're getting really close now. So what about the square root of a square root? That is the power of 1/2 to the power of 1/2. How do you write the power of 1/2 to the power of 1/2? What is that? 1/4. Power of 1/4. Let's try it. Wrong thing. Wrong button. Copy. Thank you. Paste. You're welcome. Let's do to the power of, what's 1/4 as a decimal? It's just easier to do. 0.25? Okay, so look at, if I take that away and I put it back, it's right on top of the other one. Dun da da! Congratulations. Okay. Okay, does everybody see that? So if you see a power of 1/4, that's the same as the square root of a square root. Cool, hey? Yeah, that's like teacher cool. I know it's not like student cool. That's like teacher cool. Awesome. All right. So what else do I need to tell you here? So we talked about this, and we talked about just varying graphs, parabolas. Okay, big thing. All right, I'll give you the rest of your assignment, and that's just kind of the short part 2 of this section. We talked about different things. There's that absolute value. Okay, there's your typical square root function, right? Square root of a line, and so on. Okay, so here's the rest of your assignment.